You are a tall, powerful Homo sapiens, towering over the ancient grasslands. The sun is warm on your skin, and everywhere females watch you with quiet admiration. But this isn't the modern world. It's a time before cities, before fire ruled the night. Tonight, we're traveling back 4.9 million years into the past to see what life was truly like when your ancestors first walked the earth. So, lie back, let your thoughts drift, and imagine a world untouched by concrete, electricity, or noise. Just raw nature, endless horizons, and the first steps of humankind. Congratulations! You've just woken up 4.9 million years in the past. The very first sensation isn't the familiar yielding comfort of a mattress, nor the subtle shift of bedclothes that conform to your shape, nor even the distinctive, often synthetic scent of your own dwelling, with its familiar walls and contained air, its predictable echoes. No, it's the cool, damp, and utterly unyielding earth pressing firmly against your entire back, from your shoulders down to your heels. A rough, textured cradle that offers no softness, no manufactured give, only the raw, undeniable reality of the ground itself. Small, sharp pebbles dig insistently into your skin, creating uncomfortable pressure points, some even leaving faint indentations. And the intricate network of unseen roots, like hard, woody veins, creates an uneven surface beneath you. A constant, abrasive presence against every curve of your body, demanding your attention. A faint, almost imperceptible chill permeates the air, a whisper of dawn's lingering embrace that hasn't yet been warmed by the rising sun. A pre-dawn coolness that promises a hot, relentless day. You feel it directly against your exposed skin, a startling contrast to the meticulously regulated temperatures of your former existence, where thermostats and insulation kept you perpetually comfortable, oblivious to the outside world. It's a primal cold, one that seeps into your very bones, demanding immediate attention, forcing a shiver that ripples involuntarily through your massive frame, raising goosebumps along your arms and legs, a visceral reminder of your vulnerability to the elements. Your eyes, heavy with the remnants of a dream you cannot quite recall. A dream perhaps of modern comforts, of warmth and ease, of smooth, predictable surfaces, of the gentle hum of technology, of a world tamed and controlled. Flutter open, not to the comforting geometry of a ceiling, nor the soft, digital glow of an alarm clock, but to an impossibly vast, cerulean sky, so clear and deep it seems to stretch into an eternity of pure, undiluted blue. A color so rich it feels almost unreal. A celestial dome, wisps of thin, high clouds, like brushstrokes from an ancient artist, white against the endless azure, drift lazily across its expanse, utterly untroubled by the contrails of modern aircraft or the pollution that often clouds your contemporary heavens, giving it an otherworldly purity, a pristine beauty that takes your breath away and fills you with a sense of wonder. There are no walls, no roof, no familiar shapes of human construction, no straight lines, no manufactured angles, no distant glint of glass or steel, no faint haze of urban development, no power lines or telephone poles, no signs of human dominion, just an overwhelming, boundless expanse of wilderness, stretching in every conceivable direction, dissolving into a hazy, indistinct horizon that promises nothing but more of the same untamed, wild beauty. An endless vista of unadulterated nature that feels both liberating in its freedom and terrifying in its lack of boundaries. The sheer scale of it is disorienting, humbling, and strangely exhilarating all at once. A sudden, stark realization of how small you truly are in this magnificent, untamed world. How utterly insignificant your individual presence in the face of such ancient, raw power. A deep, involuntary breath fills your lungs, and the air that rushes in is shockingly pure, untainted by the exhaust fumes, industrial haze, or the myriad synthetic odors that permeate your modern world. It carries a complex, layered tapestry of scents, each one distinct, each one speaking of life and the primal forces that govern it. A profound olfactory experience that awakens dormant senses. There's the rich, fertile aroma of wet earth, a deep, loamy fragrance that suggests recent rain or the heavy dew of the pre-dawn hours, a smell of decay and renewal that clings to your nostrils, almost tasting of mineral and the profound cycles of life and death, of nutrients returning to the soil, a fundamental scent of existence. This mingles with the sharper, almost medicinal tang of wild grasses, tall and swaying gently in an unseen breeze, releasing their chlorophyll-rich essence into the air. A green, vibrant scent that speaks of growth and vitality, of fresh, living things. A subtle sweetness mixed with a hint of bitterness. Beneath these, a deeper, more resonant perfume rises from distant forests, a complex mix of damp leaves, ancient wood, decaying organic matter, and something indefinably wild and untamed. A musky, earthy fragrance that speaks of hidden creatures and primeval growth, of damp soil and shaded canopy, of the slow, deliberate work of nature over millennia. A scent that seems to hold the very history of the planet within it. A deep, resonant aroma. It's a smell that is so utterly natural, so profoundly ancient, that it seems to awaken something long dormant within your own genetic memory. A deep, ancestral recognition of the world as it once was. A world where every scent carried vital information, every whiff a potential clue to food or danger, a map of the invisible, a language spoken through molecules, a constant stream of data. You can almost distinguish the faint metallic scent of iron in the soil, carried on the breeze, a hint of the earth's deep composition, the sweet, cloying aroma of certain flowering plants that dot the landscape, their ephemeral beauty contrasting with the harshness of the environment and the pungent, animalistic odor of unseen creatures, a constant reminder of the living, breathing environment around you. A world where you are not alone, but merely one part of a vast, interconnected web of life and death. A complex, dynamic system. This olfactory overload is both overwhelming and incredibly informative, forcing your modern senses to relearn how to interpret such raw, unfiltered data, to instinctively understand its implications for your immediate survival, a skill you never knew you possessed. Sounds, too, are profoundly different. A symphony of the natural world that replaces the cacophony of modern life. The incessant hum of distant traffic, the shrill wail of sirens, the ceaseless murmur of human voices, the artificial chirps and beeps of electronic devices, the constant drone of machinery, the ubiquitous background noise of civilization. All are utterly absent. Here, silence isn't empty. It's filled with the subtle, intricate symphony of the natural world, a constant, living soundscape that pulses with unseen activity, a delicate balance of sounds that demands acute listening, the rustle of leaves overhead, a gentle whisper from the ancient trees that stand sentinel around you, is surprisingly loud in the quiet. Each individual leaf's movement distinct, like 1,000 tiny hands clapping in the soft wind. A mesmerizing, rhythmic sound that can also mask other, more dangerous noises, requiring careful discernment. You hear the high-pitched, almost ethereal calls of strange birds, their melodies utterly alien yet perfectly harmonious with their surroundings, punctuated by deeper, more resonant cries that suggest larger, unseen avian life. Perhaps birds of prey circling high above, or ground-dwelling birds signaling to each other in a complex, unspoken language of alarm or contentment. A chorus of wild voices. The rhythmic hum of unseen insects forms a constant, almost hypnotic backdrop. A living drone that vibrates through the air. A reminder of the countless tiny lives teeming around you. Their collective buzzing a low, pervasive thrum that never fully ceases. A constant, almost irritating presence. Then, the distinct snap of a twig nearby, sharp and sudden, breaking the ambient hum, followed by another, and the subtle, rhythmic thump-thump of early mammals moving through the undergrowth. Their presence a constant, low thrum of activity that keeps your senses on edge. A primal alarm system that is always active, always demanding vigilance, forcing you to turn your head, straining to identify the source, to understand its meaning. Every sound is magnified, every rustle a potential warning, every distant cry a clue, forcing your hearing to stretch and adapt, to interpret the nuanced language of the wild, to discern threat from harmless movement, to understand the subtle shifts in the soundscape, a constant process of auditory analysis. You hear the distant gurgle of water, perhaps a hidden stream or a small river, a sound that promises life but also potential danger, as all creatures, predator and prey, must eventually drink from the same sources, making it a focal point for conflict. The world speaks to you in a language of natural acoustics, demanding your full attention, a language you have long forgotten but are now, by stark necessity, forced to relearn. Every nuance critical to your continued existence, every sound a potential message. As you push yourself up, your powerful muscles, accustomed to softer surfaces and less strenuous activity, protest with a dull ache, a stiffness that speaks of unfamiliar sleeping conditions, of a body unaccustomed to such raw contact with the earth. The ground beneath your palms is rough, dotted with sharp pebbles and gnarled roots, a stark reminder of the lack of smoothed, paved surfaces, of the absence of any human intervention, any attempt to soften or control the environment. You look down at your hands, then at your body, realizing the stark, terrifying reality of your situation. You are vulnerable, utterly, completely vulnerable. There are no tools within reach, no sharp stone axes, no sturdy spears, not even a simple digging stick, nothing to aid in defense or sustenance, nothing to extend your natural capabilities, no technology to bridge the gap between your strength and the world's demands. Your hands, so accustomed to manipulating complex devices, to typing on keyboards, to holding intricate tools, feel strangely empty, useless in this context, unequipped for the immediate, brutal demands of this environment. Their dexterity wasted on simple tasks, their former purpose irrelevant. The concept of fire, that transformative element that separates humanity from the beasts, that provides warmth, protection, and cooked food, that allows for metallurgy and pottery, for warmth against the bitter cold of night, for warding off dangerous animals, for sanitizing water, for crafting tools, for light in the profound darkness, for social gathering, is a distant, unimaginable dream, a technology millions of years in the future, a concept too advanced for this primal world. You feel the persistent chill of the morning air on your exposed skin, a stark reminder of the lack of shelter, of warmth, of any barrier against the elements. Your modern clothing, if you had any, would be utterly inadequate, offering little protection against thorns, biting insects, or the relentless sun and cold, quickly becoming tattered and useless, an encumbrance rather than an aid, and language, the complex tapestry of words and meanings you rely on to navigate your world, to express nuanced thoughts and feelings, to build societies and transmit knowledge, to form intricate social bonds, to articulate plans and strategies, to tell stories and share history, to build a collective identity, is useless here. Communication is reduced to basic primal sounds, guttural grunts of alarm, soft calls of contentment, sharp warning cries that are more instinct than articulation, and the universal yet limited language of gestures, expressions, and body language, of glances and subtle movements, of postures and shared gazes, conveying only immediate needs and emotions. The nuances of human communication, the jokes, the stories, the philosophical debates, the scientific exchanges, the very fabric of your former social existence, are utterly meaningless in this stark reality, stripped away to the bare essentials. You are a giant in a world of small, agile creatures, yet you are utterly naked, exposed, and dependent on instincts you barely remember possessing. Instincts that are now screaming for attention, demanding immediate action, pushing you towards a primal mode of being where intellect is secondary to survival, where raw intuition reigns supreme, where every decision is life or death. The sheer scale of the wilderness, the raw, untamed power of it all, is both terrifying and exhilarating. Every fiber of your being screams a single primal truth, a truth etched into the very fabric of this ancient land. Survival is the only currency here, the only goal, the only imperative, the only thing that matters. The weight of this realization settles upon you, heavy and profound, as you take your first tentative steps into a world that demands everything, yet offers nothing but itself. You are a Homo sapiens, a pinnacle of evolution, yet here you are merely another creature, stripped bare of all your technological comforts, facing the world as your earliest ancestors did, with nothing but your senses and your raw will to live. The wind whips around you, carrying the scent of something unknown, something wild and potentially dangerous. And you realize that every breath, every step, every single second is a gamble, a testament to the raw, unadulterated struggle for existence. Your muscles, accustomed to controlled movements, feel stiff, unready for the constant physical demands of this new reality, aching with every shift. The sun is already beginning to warm, but it's a harsh warmth, not a comforting one, a reminder of the relentless exposure you face. You are alone, yet surrounded by life, a terrifying paradox. The immense responsibility of your own survival, a burden you rarely consider in your comfortable modern life, now rests entirely on your shoulders. A stark, undeniable truth that chills you more than the morning air. A profound sense of isolation and self-reliance that is both terrifying and strangely empowering. As the sun, a vast, ancient orb of molten gold, climbs higher in the impossibly clear, boundless sky, its golden light begins to pierce the lingering shadows, painting the world in hues of amber and ochre, transforming the pre-dawn gloom into a vibrant, living tableau. With each passing moment, the full, breathtaking grandeur of this ancient world begins to unfold before your eyes, revealing a landscape unlike anything you have ever witnessed, a panorama of unparalleled scale and raw beauty that stretches beyond the limits of your vision, hinting at unimaginable distances, at an untouched wilderness that seems to go on forever. a boundless expanse. This is Africa during the Pliocene epoch, a colossal canvas painted with broad strokes of vibrant, almost luminous green where water is plentiful, allowing lush growth, and earthy, sun-baked brown where the land is drier. Speaking of parched ground and relentless heat, a landscape of stark contrasts and dramatic shifts. It stretches endlessly to the horizon, a visual symphony of natural power and untamed wildness, where every undulation of the land, every cluster of trees, every rocky outcrop holds a secret or a threat, a potential resource or a hidden danger, demanding constant interpretation. You stand on the very edge of vast savannas, where tall, golden grasses, some reaching well above your head, even towering over your impressive modern height, ripple like a living ocean in the gentle, persistent breeze. They sway with a hypnotic rhythm, creating shifting patterns of light and shadow, a silent, continuous dance that seems to breathe with the land, a constant whispering murmur that can conceal the softest footsteps of prey or predator, making identification difficult, a deceptively peaceful surface. These are not the manicured fields of your time, carefully cultivated and controlled by human hands for specific crops. These are wild, untamed prairies, teeming with unseen life. Each individual blade a testament to the raw, untamed fertility of the earth, sharp-edged and resilient, capable of cutting exposed skin if you brush against them carelessly. The air here is alive with the rustle of these grasses, a constant whisper that seems to carry the secrets of millennia, a sound that is both calming in its natural rhythm and subtly unsettling, as it could conceal anything from a browsing antelope to a lurking predator, its presence only betrayed by a sudden, unnatural stillness in the swaying sea of green and gold, a ripple that is not from the wind. The sheer expanse of the open plains makes you feel incredibly small, a tiny speck in an overwhelming world, yet also a part of its immense, vibrant energy connected to its deep, ancient pulse, a humble participant in its grand cycles of life and death. The ground beneath your feet, a mix of compact soil and scattered pebbles, speaks of eons of erosion and growth, of countless lives lived and returned to the earth, a deep, rich history beneath your soles, a silent record of time. Scattered across this immense grassland, like verdant islands in a golden sea, are patches of dense forests, deep emerald clusters that punctuate the plains, offering both stark contrast and vital refuge. They are not the uniform managed plantations you know, carefully cultivated for timber or leisure, with their predictable rows and clearings, but chaotic, vibrant ecosystems of ancient trees, gnarled acacias with their distinctive flat tops and formidable thorns, providing sparse but crucial shade that pools beneath their canopies, a welcome, albeit temporary, respite from the sun. Immense baobabs with their immense bottle-shaped trunks, standing like silent, ancient giants, their branches reaching like gnarled fingers towards the sky, their bark thick and furrowed with age, bearing the marks of countless seasons, their presence a testament to enduring life. And other species whose names are lost to time, their forms alien yet majestic, their foliage thick and lush, creating an almost impenetrable barrier of green, a wall of leaves and branches. Their branches are thick with foliage, forming a dense, almost impenetrable canopy that filters the harsh sunlight into dappled patterns on the forest floor, offering both precious shade and hidden dangers within its shadowy depths, where visibility drops sharply and unseen eyes might watch your every move. The air within these wooded areas is heavier, more humid, thick with the scent of decomposition and new growth, carrying the distinct perfume of rich, damp soil, decaying leaves, and the musky aroma of unseen animals. a scent that speaks of hidden life and deep, ancient processes of growth and decay. A pungent, earthy fragrance that fills your nostrils. A world of scent. The transition from the open, sun-drenched savanna to the cool, shadowed embrace of the forest is abrupt. A sudden sensory shift in atmosphere and perceived safety, like stepping into another world entirely, where the light is dim and the sounds are muffled, creating a sense of claustrophobia despite the natural beauty, a feeling of being enveloped. Beyond these immediate features, in the hazy, shimmering distance, you can discern the majestic, brooding silhouettes of volcanoes, their peaks reaching towards the sky like ancient sentinels, silent witnesses to eons of geological upheaval. Their slopes scarred by past eruptions and covered in dark, solidified lava flows, a stark reminder of the Earth's fiery heart. They are dormant now, their imposing forms a permanent fixture of the horizon, their slopes covered in ancient lava flows and tenacious vegetation that clings to every crevice. But their sheer presence speaks of a land still in the throes of formation, a world constantly being shaped by immense unseen forces, a reminder of the planet's raw, untamed power that can erupt at any moment, reshaping everything in an instant, a profound sense of geological time, of forces beyond human comprehension. Their dark, imposing forms against the bright sky are a constant, humbling presence, a reminder of forces far greater than any living creature, of the ephemeral nature of all life in the face of planetary power. The climate is a paradox to your modern sensibilities, a stark departure from the regulated comfort you once knew, a constant test of endurance that pushes the limits of survival. It is generally warmer than today, a consistent, almost oppressive heat during the day that forces you to seek the scant shade offered by isolated trees or rocky outcrops, a heat that drains energy and makes every movement an effort, causing sweat to bead on your skin and your body to ache. The sun beats down with an intensity that feels almost physical, searing your exposed skin if you linger too long in its direct gaze, quickly leading to dehydration and fatigue, and the threat of severe sunburn, leaving your skin raw and peeling, a constant discomfort. The glare off the open plains can be blinding, forcing you to squint, straining your eyes and making it difficult to discern distant objects, adding another layer of challenge to vigilance. Yet, there are seasonal extremes that are far more pronounced and brutal than anything you've experienced in your cushioned existence. You can almost feel the coming of the long, arduous dry season, when the golden grasses will turn brittle and yellow, crunching underfoot like dried parchment, and the very air will seem to suck moisture from your body, leaving your throat parched and your lips cracked. Water will become a precious, fiercely contested commodity, shrinking to muddy puddles or disappearing entirely, forcing long, desperate journeys across parched, cracked earth in search of a life-sustaining drink, a constant, agonizing thirst that dominates all other thoughts. The air will become thick with choking dust, coating everything, settling in your nostrils and throat, making every breath gritty and difficult. And the heat will be relentless, a constant drain on your energy, a test of pure, unadulterated endurance, pushing you to the brink of collapse. Then, the wet season, when torrential, violent rains will transform the parched landscape into a muddy, impassable swamp, bringing both life-giving sustenance to parched plants and new, treacherous challenges like flash floods that sweep away everything in their path. Rampant insect populations that bite and sting relentlessly, and the increased threat of waterborne diseases that could decimate a group, turning a blessing into a curse. This is a world where the weather dictates everything, where every aspect of survival is inextricably linked to the whims of the sky. where a sudden storm can bring both relief and peril, and a prolonged drought means certain death for the weak, shaping the very rhythm of life and death. An unyielding natural calendar that cannot be defied, only endured. You feel the deep wisdom of the land, the ancient knowledge of seasons etched into its very being, a cycle of abundance and scarcity that governs all life within it, a timeless, powerful force. The contrast with modern life is staggering, almost comical in its severity, a chasm between two realities that feels insurmountable, a profound sense of temporal displacement that often leaves you gasping for the familiar, for the world you once knew. There are no cities, no towering skyscrapers piercing the clouds, no sprawling networks of concrete and steel, no distant glow of urban sprawl against the night sky, no comforting, predictable grid of artificial lights stretching into the darkness, no sign of human civilization, no trace of your own species' future. The very concept of a permanent dwelling, a structure built to shield you from the elements, to provide security and comfort, to serve as a personal sanctuary, is utterly absent. Your only shelter is what nature provides, a shallow cave, a dense thicket, or the meager temporary protection of a tree's canopy, all offering limited respite and often shared with other, potentially dangerous creatures. There are no roads, no smooth, paved arteries connecting distant points, no signs or markers to guide your way, no maps, no GPS, no clear paths. Every journey is a laborious trek across uneven, unpredictable terrain, through thickets of thorny bushes and over rocky outcrops, each step a conscious, energy-consuming effort, a constant test of your physical endurance and navigational instincts, relying on the position of the sun, the stars, and subtle landmarks that you must learn to recognize. The pervasive hum of electricity, the invisible force that powers your entire existence, that illuminates your nights and runs your machines, that fuels communication and comfort, that drives your entire society, is utterly non-existent. The concept of a light switch, a refrigerator, a television screen, a vehicle, a phone, instant communication, air conditioning, clean running water, a hot meal, all are absurd fantasies in this raw, untamed reality. Luxuries so far removed, they feel like products of another dimension, almost incomprehensible in their absence, making you feel like a ghost from another time. And comfort? That soft, pervasive cushion of convenience that defines your former life, that insulates you from the harshness of the world, is a forgotten luxury. A distant memory that feels alien and impossible, almost ridiculous in its fragility. There are no temperature-controlled environments, no readily available prepackaged food, no instant communication with distant loved ones, no soft beds, no clean clothes, no easy escape from discomfort. Here, there is only raw nature, in all its terrifying beauty and brutal indifference. The sun beats down relentlessly, drying your skin and sapping your strength. The wind whips dust and leaves into your face, stinging your eyes and coating your tongue, making every breath gritty and every moment uncomfortable. The rain drenches you to the bone, leading to shivering and potential hypothermia, chilling you to the core. The ground is hard and unforgiving beneath your bare feet, constantly challenging your balance and resilience, leaving your soles tough and bruised, often cut and infected. Every single need, food, water, shelter, safety, warmth, must be met by your own hands, your own wits, your own strength, or the collective, arduous effort of your small, vulnerable group. The horizons are truly endless, stretching out in every direction, unbroken by human intervention, a constant, humbling reminder of the sheer scale of the world and your infinitesimally small place within it. A liberating vastness that is also deeply terrifying, a sense of being utterly alone in a boundless expanse. It is a world of breathtaking, untamed beauty. Yes, but also one of unrelenting challenge, where every moment is a testament to the sheer will to exist, to survive another day, to simply draw another breath, to endure against all odds, a constant battle for survival. The air itself feels ancient, heavy with the weight of millions of years of life and death. A vast, living museum where you are both an observer and, more terrifyingly, a participant, caught in the eternal dance of predator and prey, survival and extinction. The sheer, overwhelming presence of nature, unbridled and magnificent, fills your senses, demanding your full attention, your complete submission to its immutable laws, its raw, uncompromising power. There is no escape, no respite, only the constant, demanding reality of the Pliocene. Every rustle of leaves, every distant call, every subtle shift in the wind, every change in scent is a piece of vital information that must be processed for survival. A constant mental calculation, an instinctive reading of the environment, a skill that now feels more crucial than any academic knowledge. The vastness is both liberating and terrifying, a constant reminder of how utterly alone you are in this grand, ancient theater of life, relying solely on your primal instincts and the tenuous bond of your group, a profound and humbling experience. As you cautiously move through the tall, whispering grasses, your senses on high alert, every rustle and shadow a potential threat or opportunity. You catch a sudden, startling glimpse of movement. A small group, perhaps a dozen individuals, emerges from a cluster of gnarled acacia trees, their forms blending almost seamlessly with the dappled light and shadow of the early morning. Their bodies perfectly camouflaged against the natural backdrop, almost invisible until they move. These are your ancestors. The early hominins of this epoch, primarily Australopithecus. They are not the towering, broad-shouldered figures you might imagine when thinking of early humans. Nor do they possess the refined features, complex language, or technological prowess of modern Homo sapiens. Instead, you observe them with a strange, profound mix of recognition and surprise. A feeling akin to looking into a distorted, ancient mirror, seeing echoes of yourself in their primitive forms. A distant genetic kinship that transcends the millennia. A ghostly resonance in your very bones. A deep, almost spiritual connection that makes the vastness of time feel suddenly intimate. They are generally small-bodied, much shorter than your impressive modern frame, perhaps ranging from 3 to 5 feet tall, their stature making them seem almost diminutive in the vast landscape. Dwarfed by the towering grasses and ancient trees, easily concealed by the natural vegetation. The tallest male among them might barely reach your chest, and the females are noticeably smaller and more slender, yet compact and wiry with lean, efficient muscle, built for endurance and agility, rather than brute force. Their bodies honed by constant movement. Their builds are more slender, more agile, clearly optimized for navigating both the ground and the treacherous branches of trees, a duality that defines their very existence, a life lived between two worlds, the open savanna and the arboreal canopy. One of the most striking and immediately apparent features is their long arms, disproportionately lengthy compared to their legs, extending nearly to their knees, and ending in hands that are clearly adapted for grasping branches with powerful, secure grips. Their fingers are long and curved, well suited for arboreal locomotion, perfect for wrapping around a tree limb or plucking fruit with surprising dexterity. Their nails thick and strong, capable of digging. Their thumbs, while opposable, are not yet as refined for precision grip as your own, lacking the fine motor control for intricate tool-making, but perfectly adequate for their immediate needs, for holding, grasping, and manipulating simple objects. This anatomical detail immediately tells you a crucial story. These creatures are still very much at home in the trees, using them for safety from ground predators, for foraging for high-hanging fruits, and for refuge when danger looms. Their arboreal skills a vital part of their survival toolkit, a constant fallback. Their musculature, though not as bulky as a chimpanzee's, suggests significant strength and agility for their size, capable of bursts of speed and remarkable endurance, vital for escaping threats or covering long distances in search of resources. Yet, their posture, their gait, as they move across the open ground, is unmistakable. They are able to climb with remarkable dexterity, scrambling up trunks with astonishing speed and confidence, their bodies flowing upwards, swinging through branches with an ease that speaks of generations spent in the arboreal canopy, a fluid, almost ethereal grace that you, a bipedal specialist, can only admire with a mix of awe and envy, a lost art of movement. But crucially, and this is what truly sets them apart from other primates, they are also able to walk upright, a slow, deliberate bipedal shuffle that is less efficient than your own long, striding gait, a slight side-to-side wobble, but revolutionary nonetheless. Their hips are wider, their knees slightly bent, giving them a distinctive rolling walk that is a testament to their evolutionary transition from full quadrupedalism to habitual bipedalism, a critical step towards humanity, freeing their hands for other tasks. This ability to stand tall, even if only briefly, frees their hands for other tasks, for carrying food, for gesturing, for rudimentary tool use, for holding their young, opening up new possibilities for interaction with their environment. Their heads are small, their faces more ape-like than human, with prominent brow ridges that cast deep shadows over their eyes, giving them a perpetually serious or wary expression, and strong, protruding jaws housing large, robust teeth, clearly adapted for a diet of tough, fibrous plants. Their molars broad and flat for grinding, their canines still somewhat pronounced. Their noses are flatter, their foreheads receding sharply, indicating a smaller brain case than your own, but not an absence of intelligence, merely a different kind, one geared for immediate survival and environmental awareness. But their eyes, dark and intelligent, hold a spark of something familiar, a nascent curiosity, a flicker of awareness that transcends mere animal instinct, a hint of the complex thought and burgeoning self-awareness that will one day define humanity. A profound, ancient wisdom residing within them. Their bodies are covered in a fine layer of dark hair or fur, offering some protection from the harsh sun and the biting cold, a stark contrast to your own relatively hairless skin, which now feels painfully exposed to every element, every insect bite, every scratch. You notice the subtle variations in size and build between individuals, suggesting a degree of sexual dimorphism, with males generally larger than females, and males often possessing more pronounced brow ridges and thicker muscle mass, indicating their role in protection and defense, a clear division of labor. Their behavior is a constant, unfolding lesson in primal survival, a dance with the harsh realities of their world that leaves no room for error, no second chances, where every decision carries life or death consequences and every action is scrutinized. They live in small groups, a tight-knit collective bound by absolute necessity, not by choice or complex social convention in the modern sense, but by the sheer imperative of survival. This communal living is not for leisurely social interaction, for entertainment or intellectual discourse, for building complex societies, but a fundamental, non-negotiable strategy for safety and resource acquisition. A single pair of eyes and ears is tragically insufficient against the myriad dangers of the Pliocene. Many eyes and ears, constantly vigilant, significantly increase the chances of spotting a predator or finding a scattered food source, multiplying their chances of survival and ensuring the group's continuity. You observe them constantly scanning their surroundings, their heads swiveling, their senses acutely tuned to every rustle and shadow, every shift in the wind, a collective vigilance that is their primary defense against a world that wishes them ill. A constant, unspoken agreement to watch each other's backs, to be each other's early warning system. There appears to be a rudimentary hierarchy, perhaps based on size, age, or accumulated experience and demonstrated strength, with older, larger males sometimes leading the way, taking defensive positions, or mediating minor disputes with grunts and gestures, while females with infants are often kept in the protected, more central core of the group, shielded from immediate threats, their vulnerability recognized and guarded. Social grooming, though simple, serves to reinforce these bonds, a tactile expression of care and belonging, strengthening the fabric of the group. Their days are largely consumed by the relentless, exhausting search for sustenance. They are primarily foraging creatures, their diet consisting mainly of what the land provides without the need for complex tools, fire, or intricate preparation, relying solely on what can be gathered directly from their environment. You watch as they meticulously search for roots and tubers, digging them from the hard earth with their strong, calloused fingers, or perhaps using a simple, unmodified stick, a primitive tool at best, a natural extension of their will to acquire food. They pluck fruits from low-hanging branches, their keen eyes discerning ripeness and edibility, carefully avoiding the poisonous ones, and gather various seeds and nuts, cracking them with their powerful jaws, which show considerable wear from such a coarse, unrefined diet, their teeth slowly grinding down over time. Every edible morsel is precious, consumed quickly to maximize energy intake, often without savoring the taste, driven by immediate hunger rather than pleasure. Hunting is still a rare and incredibly dangerous endeavor for them, not a primary, reliable food source. They lack the sophisticated projectile tools, the coordinated, complex strategies, and the physical prowess to regularly bring down large game. Their attempts are often opportunistic, perhaps ambushing a small, unwary animal caught off guard, or more commonly, scavenging from a carcass left by a larger, more formidable predator, rushing in to grab a quick meal before being chased off by the rightful owner. A risky gamble for a meager prize. But even this act of scavenging is fraught with peril, as the original hunter might still be nearby, or other, more aggressive scavengers could be drawn to the scent, leading to dangerous confrontations over a meager prize, often resulting in injury or death. Their meals are raw, unadulterated, often bloody, and consumed quickly, often while still on the move or perched precariously in a tree, always with an eye on their surroundings, always aware of the need to be ready to flee at a moment's notice, a constant state of alert even during the most basic of functions. Their social life is basic, driven by immediate needs and primal instincts, yet it holds the nascent seeds of future human complexity, the very beginnings of empathy and cooperation that would define Homo sapiens. Communication is largely through gestures, pointing, beckoning, warning with a raised hand, a complex vocabulary of body language and subtle movements that convey immediate meaning and intent, and a range of expressive sounds. You hear guttural grunts of contentment when food is found, sharp barks of alarm that send shivers down your spine and instantly alert the entire group to danger, and soft cooing sounds directed at the young, expressing reassurance and primal affection, a deep, wordless bond that ensures the survival of the next generation. Their facial expressions are more limited than a modern human's, lacking the intricate musculature for subtle nuances, but you can discern primal emotions like fear, aggression, curiosity, and perhaps a rudimentary form of pleasure or distress, communicated through subtle shifts in their features, a widening of the eyes, a tightening of the jaw, a baring of teeth. Body language is paramount. A tense posture, a sudden freeze, a rapid glance, a slight shift in weight, all convey vital information about their emotional state, intentions, and immediate perceptions of the environment, a constant, unspoken dialogue. You see instances of grooming, a simple but important social bonding activity, picking through each other's fur, reinforcing group cohesion and comfort, reducing stress and strengthening ties, a tactile expression of care and belonging. The females are fiercely protective of their young, who cling instinctively to their mothers' backs or bellies, utterly dependent for warmth, nourishment, and protection. The future of the group carried on their small frames, a precious, vulnerable cargo. Play, when it occurs, is simple and brief, often involving mock chases or rough-and-tumble wrestling, serving not just as recreation, but to develop motor skills, agility, strength, and reinforce social bonds, vital lessons for future survival in a harsh world. There is a palpable sense of shared vulnerability and mutual reliance within the group. Their survival hinges on their ability to cooperate, to warn each other of danger, to share the meager resources they find, and to protect their most vulnerable. They move as one, a cohesive unit against the vast, indifferent wilderness, each individual a vital part of the collective struggle for existence, their fates inextricably linked. You realize that their intelligence, while not yet fully human in the modern sense, is keenly developed for survival in this brutal environment. A raw, intuitive understanding of their world, a profound awareness of their place within the unforgiving food chain. They are living, breathing monuments to the power of adaptation, the very crucible from which your own species would one day emerge, a testament to the slow, arduous march of evolution, a journey of millions of years condensed into this single, profound observation. The sun, now relentlessly high above, a blinding disk in the vast, cloudless sky, beats down with an unyielding intensity, a constant physical presence that reminds you of the brutal, unsparing demands of this ancient world. Every single moment of every single day is a testament to the raw, unceasing struggle for survival, a stark, visceral contrast to the cushioned, predictable existence you once knew, where your greatest daily struggle might be a traffic jam or a missed deadline. The most immediate and constant challenge, the very foundation of their existence, is the relentless, exhausting acquisition of sustenance, a gnawing, never-ending hunger that drives every action, every decision, every movement. There is no fire yet. The concept of cooking, of transforming raw ingredients into palatable, easily digestible meals, of using heat for preservation or detoxification, of warming oneself against the bitter cold of night, of warding off dangerous animals, of crafting tools, of creating light in the profound darkness, of forging metals, of pottery, of creating warmth for social gathering, is millions of years in the future. A distant, unimaginable leap in technology and understanding. This means meals are raw, consumed precisely as they are found. Tough roots ripped from the earth, fibrous fruits that require immense chewing, uncracked nuts that demand powerful jaw strength, and whatever small, raw animal protein might be scavenged or opportunistically caught and eaten on the spot, often still warm from its recent life, its blood still fresh. You watch as your ancestors tear at tough plant matter with their strong, primitive teeth, their powerful jaws working tirelessly, grinding down tough fibers and extracting what little nutrition they can, their faces contorted with effort, their muscles straining. The taste is often bitter, earthy, or unpleasantly fibrous, the texture unyielding, and the sheer effort required to chew and digest is immense. A significant drain on their precious energy reserves, often leaving them with sore jaws, aching teeth, and a feeling of perpetual incompleteness, never truly sated. There's no preservation, no storage beyond what can be eaten immediately or carried for a very short time. Food must be consumed quickly, or it spoils under the relentless heat, a constant race against time and decay, and the ever-present competition from other creatures who would gladly take their prize. The energy expended in finding and consuming food often feels barely compensated by the caloric intake, a precarious, day-to-day balance that keeps them perpetually on the edge of hunger, their bodies lean, efficient, and constantly craving more, a cycle of desperate need and fleeting satisfaction. The search for food is constant, a relentless, all-consuming activity that dominates their every waking hour, shaping their movements, their social interactions, and their entire worldview. There are no grocery stores, no cultivated fields, no predictable harvests to rely upon, no guaranteed source of nourishment, no certainty of the next meal. Every day is a foraging expedition, a meticulous, dangerous search through the savanna and forest for edible plants, elusive insects, or the rare, fortunate find of a small animal or discarded carcass, a never-ending scavenger hunt. You observe their keen eyes scanning the ground with incredible precision, their heads constantly swiveling, their hands expertly digging for hidden tubers, their bodies agilely climbing trees for ripe berries or tender leaves, their movements fluid and purposeful, driven by an innate primal hunger. The energy expenditure is enormous, a continuous physical exertion under the harsh sun, requiring immense stamina and resilience that would exhaust a modern human in mere hours, leaving them utterly depleted. Their muscles are constantly engaged, their bodies finely tuned instruments of survival, pushed to their limits daily, becoming lean and powerful. Every calorie burned in the pursuit of more, and there is always the uncertainty of finding enough. Some days are agonizingly lean, forcing them to push deeper into potentially dangerous territories, risking their lives for a chance at sustenance, or endure the gnawing pangs of hunger that weaken them and dim their vigilance, making them even more vulnerable to threats. A slow, torturous decline. Every successful find is a small, hard-won victory, a temporary reprieve in the ongoing, never-ending battle against starvation, a momentary surge of relief before the cycle begins anew, a constant reminder of their precarious existence. The very act of eating is a testament to their persistence, their profound will to simply exist, to hold on for another day. Water, too, is a source of perpetual anxiety and danger, a vital commodity that demands constant vigilance and strategic thinking. Water sources are shared with dangerous animals, making every drink a perilous gamble, a moment of acute vulnerability. A muddy waterhole, a slow-moving stream, or a rain-filled depression in the rocks becomes a magnet for all life, drawing every creature, predator and prey alike, into a volatile coexistence, a tense truce broken by primal needs, a dangerous meeting point. You witness the cautious, almost ritualistic approach of the group to a watering hole, their heads swiveling constantly, eyes scanning the tall grasses and dense thickets for any sign of movement, any ripple on the surface that betrays a hidden threat. Every shadow a potential ambush, every sound a warning. The air around these vital oases often hums with a palpable tension, a silent standoff between desperate thirst and the instinct for self-preservation, a place where life and death hang in a delicate balance. Crocodiles lurk just beneath the surface, their ancient cold eyes barely breaking the water, waiting with reptilian patience for an unsuspecting victim to quench its thirst. Their powerful jaws ready to snap shut with terrifying speed. Large carnivores, like the saber-toothed cats, often lie in cunning ambush near these essential gathering points, knowing that thirst will eventually drive their prey to them, forcing them into the open, away from the safety of trees. The need to drink is undeniable, a primal urge that overrides all but the most immediate fear. But the risk is ever present, forcing a delicate, agonizing balance between survival and extreme caution. A constant weighing of odds that could mean life or instantaneous, brutal death, a choice made in desperation. The constant danger from predators is perhaps the most pervasive and terrifying aspect of life in the Pliocene. It's not an occasional threat, something to be dealt with and forgotten, but a continuous, low-level hum of existential fear that permeates every moment of their waking and even sleeping hours. A constant background noise of dread. You feel it in the way your ancestors move, in their hypervigilance, in the way they constantly scan their surroundings, in the way their muscles are always subtly tensed, ready to react at the slightest sign of danger. Their bodies finely tuned for escape, for immediate flight. Saber-toothed cats, like Machairodus or Dinophilis, with their immense size, powerful musculature, and terrifyingly long, serrated fangs that could tear through flesh and bone with horrifying efficiency, are apex predators, perfectly evolved killing machines. Their hunting style is often ambush, a sudden explosive charge from cover, a blur of motion, aiming for a swift, crushing bite to the neck, an attack too fast to comprehend until it's too late, leaving no time for thought or reaction. You imagine the sheer, paralyzing terror of seeing one of these magnificent, deadly beasts emerge silently from the tall grass. A flash of predatory eyes and glinting fangs, its immense power radiating menace, its presence chilling the air. Giant hyenas, like Pachyrhina, larger and more robust than modern hyenas, often hunt in packs, their powerful jaws capable of crushing bone with ease, their collective intelligence making them formidable, relentless hunters and scavengers, leaving little behind for others, their numbers overwhelming. Their eerie, bone-chilling cackles echo across the plains, often signaling a recent kill or a relentless pack on the hunt. A sound of primal dread that curdles the blood and sends shivers down your spine. A sound of death. Other large carnivores, like early forms of lions and leopards, with their stealth and power, and even immense crocodiles in the waterways, contribute to this ever-present threat, each with its own deadly strategy, its own method of bringing down prey, making every corner of the environment potentially lethal, a constant minefield of danger. The feeling of being hunted, of being a potential meal, is a profound psychological burden, a constant state of alert that drains energy and fosters an almost paranoid awareness of every shadow, every sound, every shift in the wind. A fear that never truly subsides, even in moments of apparent safety, a perpetual state of anxiety. Defense against these omnipresent threats is rudimentary, but absolutely vital, often relying on speed and collective action, on instinct and cooperation. The group's primary defense mechanism is their collective vigilance and their remarkable ability to climb trees. At the first alarm, a sharp bark or a frantic gesture from a vigilant member, the entire group scrambles for the nearest arboreal refuge, scaling trunks with surprising speed and agility, finding temporary safety in the high, dense branches where many ground predators cannot follow. Their long arms and grasping feet are perfectly suited for this rapid escape, their bodies moving with a desperate, practiced efficiency, a blur of motion upwards. But even trees are not always safe. Some predators, like early leopards, are adept climbers, though perhaps not as agile as modern ones, forcing a constant upward movement, a climb higher and higher into the canopy, seeking the thinnest, highest branches. When caught on the ground, away from the safety of the trees, the group might attempt to cooperate, forming a tight defensive circle around the most vulnerable, especially the young and old, shouting and gesturing, throwing sticks or stones to try and intimidate a smaller predator, or simply scattering in different directions to confuse an attacker, hoping some will survive to carry on the lineage. This decision-making, though instinctual, is crucial, a split-second choice between life and death that determines the fate of the group. Beyond predators, the elements themselves are a constant, indifferent challenge, a perpetual test of endurance, wearing down their bodies and spirits with relentless force. There is no proper shelter, no constructed homes to shield them from the vagaries of the weather, no permanent refuge, no four walls and a roof. They are perpetually exposed to the scorching sun, which can cause severe dehydration, heat stroke, and relentless fatigue, burning their skin raw and sapping their strength, leaving them vulnerable to collapse. Torrential rains turn the ground to slippery, sucking mud and soak them to the bone, leading to shivering and potentially lethal hypothermia, making simple movement treacherous and miserable, chilling them to their core. The wind whips dust into their eyes and noses, irritating their airways, and chills them further, carrying away precious body heat, making even a slight breeze feel like a biting cold. And the cold nights, especially during the dry season when temperatures plummet after sunset, can be brutal, forcing them to huddle together for warmth, relying on shared body heat, a small, fragile bastion against the vast cold, a desperate attempt to conserve energy and survive until dawn. They might seek temporary refuge in natural shelters like shallow caves, rock overhangs, or dense thickets, but these offer limited protection and can also be dark, hidden places for other creatures to reside or to hide and ambush them, turning a supposed refuge into a trap. Every change in weather brings a new set of dangers and demands new adaptations, a constant battle against nature's whims. The fragility of life is starkly evident in the absence of any form of medicine or advanced healing. A simple cut from a thorn, a minor cut from a sharp rock, a broken bone from a fall, or a common infection from a bite or scratch can be fatal, turning a minor injury into a death sentence, a slow, agonizing decline. There are no antibiotics, no pain relief beyond what the body can produce, no surgical interventions, no understanding of hygiene or disease transmission, no knowledge of how to combat the unseen enemies within. The body must heal itself, or succumb to illness or injury, a brutal natural selection that weeds out the weak. The average lifespan is shockingly short, and childhood mortality is incredibly high, with many infants not surviving their first year, victims of disease, predators, or the harsh environment. Every day survived is a hard-won victory against overwhelming odds, a testament to raw, fundamental tenacity and the sheer, simple luck of survival. A constant gamble against the forces of nature, a daily miracle. These daily struggles forge powerful, ingrained survival instincts that are finely tuned, honed over millennia of natural selection, becoming second nature, an automatic response. Alertness is paramount. Every sense is acutely tuned to the environment, a constant, involuntary scan of their surroundings. Their eyes constantly scan the horizon, picking out the faintest movement, the slightest twitch of a leaf. Their ears pick up the slightest rustle or distant call, discerning its direction and meaning. Their noses detect the subtlest sense of prey or predator, a warning in the air, a scent of danger that triggers immediate alarm. This hyper-awareness is not a choice. It is a necessity, a constant, automatic processing of environmental data that never truly shuts off, even in sleep, a perpetual state of vigilance. Cooperation is the bedrock of their existence, an unspoken covenant of mutual support, a fundamental social contract that binds them together. Shared vigilance means more eyes and ears to spot danger, multiplying their chances of early detection. Food sharing, even of meager portions, ensures that the weakest members of the group, especially the young and the sick, have a chance to survive, preserving the collective's future. A profound act of self-preservation through altruism. The protection of the young is a collective responsibility, a primal drive to ensure the next generation endures, a shared burden and a shared hope for the continuation of their lineage, the ultimate investment in the future. And above all, there is the instinct to staying close to the group. There is undeniable safety in numbers. A lone individual is a far easier target for a predator than a cohesive unit. The group provides not only physical protection, but also a vital sense of belonging and mutual support in a world that is otherwise utterly indifferent to their individual existence. Every sunrise brings a renewed commitment to this arduous, yet profoundly simple way of life. A constant battle that shapes their bodies, their minds, and their future, pushing them to evolve, to become more, to become human. As the sun arcs across the vast Pliocene sky, casting its golden light over the sprawling landscape, painting every blade of grass and every distant tree in a shimmering, almost spiritual glow, the full majesty and terrifying diversity of the natural world of 4.9 million years ago unfolds before your eyes. This is a world teeming with life, much of it familiar in form, yet monstrous in scale. A vibrant, complex tapestry woven from the intricate threads of evolution's past. A living ecosystem where every creature plays a vital role in a grand, indifferent drama of survival and adaptation. A constant, dynamic interplay of forces. You are a silent observer, a giant from the future, witnessing a living, breathing museum of ancient megafauna. A dynamic snapshot of a world that existed long before the dawn of recorded history. A time of raw power and unbridled natural forces, where life flourished in its most primal, untamed forms. Among the most awe-inspiring sights, truly the undisputed giants of this era, are the giant elephants with 4 tusks, known scientifically as gomphotheres. These magnificent beasts dwarf even modern elephants, their immense columnar legs supporting bodies of staggering bulk, clad in thick, leathery, often wrinkled hide that seems impervious to anything but time itself, bearing the marks of countless years and countless journeys. Their sheer mass is such that their slow, deliberate steps cause the very ground to tremble faintly beneath your feet. A deep, resonant vibration that you can feel through the soles of your bare feet. A testament to their colossal weight and powerful stride. Unlike their modern descendants, they possess not just 2, but 4 formidable tusks. two curving upwards from their upper jaw, often reaching impressive lengths, gleaming ivory against the green, and two shorter, straighter ones protruding downwards from their lower jaw, often used for digging up tough roots and tubers from the earth, or stripping bark from ancient trees, leaving distinctive marks on the landscape. Their large, broad, flapping ears provide a constant, rhythmic movement as they graze on the vast plains, keeping flies at bay and helping to dissipate heat from their enormous bodies, a gentle fanning motion. You watch them move with a slow, ponderous grace, a majestic slowness born of their immense size. Their long, prehensile trunks constantly exploring, tasting, and reaching for sustenance. Their movements deliberate and powerful, yet surprisingly agile for their bulk. They are primarily herbivores, their long, agile trunks reaching for the highest branches of acacia trees, or siphoning vast quantities of water from distant pools. Their deep, resonant, rumbling calls echoing across the plains, a sound of ancient, benevolent power that resonates with the very land. A low frequency that vibrates through your chest. A primal communication that speaks of their presence. Despite their generally gentle demeanor when undisturbed, their immense size makes them an unstoppable force of nature. A single accidental step could crush an unwary creature, and their trumpeting calls, when agitated or threatened, are enough to send most animals scattering in a desperate panic. A sound of pure, unadulterated power that demands respect. Their presence visibly shapes the landscape, creating wide, well-worn pathways through dense vegetation and opening up new water sources by digging, altering the very topography of the savanna, acting as living engineers of the environment, shaping it for all others. Grazing alongside them, though always at a respectful distance and ever vigilant, are the ancient horses, specifically species like Hipparion. These are not the single-toed horses you know from your time, with their sleek, powerful hooves adapted for speed over hard ground, built for open plains. Instead, they possess 3 toes on each foot, a more primitive adaptation, with the central toe being the largest and weight-bearing, flanked by 2 smaller, functional toes that touch the ground, leaving a distinctive 3-pronged track in the soft earth. They are generally smaller and more slender than modern horses, with coats of various earthy tones, dun, brown, and dappled gray, blending seamlessly with the savanna environment, making them difficult to spot at a distance against the swaying grasses, a testament to their natural camouflage. You observe their constant nervous vigilance, their heads frequently rising from the grasses to scan for predators, their ears swiveling independently like tiny antennae to catch the faintest sound, their nostrils flaring to test the wind for any scent of danger, any telltale musk of a lurking carnivore. They move in herds, a collective defense mechanism, their swiftness and agility their primary protection against the carnivores that stalk the plains, relying on sheer numbers and coordinated flight to escape, a blur of motion across the landscape. Their snorts and whinnies, though familiar in tone, somehow sound more wild, more urgent in this untamed setting, conveying a primal anxiety that is contagious, a constant undercurrent of fear that ripples through the herd. Occasionally, you spot the solitary, formidable figure of an ancient rhino, perhaps a species like Chilotherium or another Pliocene rhinoceros, a creature of immense power. These rhinos are often larger and more heavily built than their modern counterparts, with powerful, stocky bodies and incredibly thick, leathery hides that resemble natural armor, a formidable defense against predators, almost impervious to attack. Some might possess multiple horns, or horns of unusual shapes and textures, adding to their prehistoric appearance, making them seem like creatures from a dream. a true glimpse into deep time. A living fossil, they move with a deliberate, almost stubborn gait, their massive heads lowered as they browse on tough vegetation, their movements radiating an undeniable brute strength and an almost implacable force. A living tank moving across the land. Their solitary nature makes them particularly dangerous. Easily startled or threatened, they can charge with incredible speed and devastating force. A living battering ram capable of devastating anything in its path, trampling all before them with terrifying efficiency. Their low grunts and snorts carry a clear warning, a clear indication of their immense power and fiercely territorial nature, advising all other creatures, including your ancestors, to keep their distance and respect their space, or face their wrath. And then, there are the early forms of giraffes, such as Civatherium, a truly remarkable sight that challenges your preconceived notions of what a giraffe should look like, utterly unlike the graceful creatures you know. These are not the long-necked, elegant creatures with their graceful proportions you are familiar with, gliding across the landscape. Civatherium is a truly distinct, massive, heavily built giraffe relative, almost as large and bulky as a modern elephant, with a notably shorter, thicker neck and a more robust, powerful body, built for strength rather than height. A true behemoth. Most strikingly, they possess large, elaborate ossicones, horn-like structures, on their heads, often resembling broad, palmate antlers, and frequently a smaller pair over their eyes, giving them a formidable, almost mythological appearance, like ancient guardians of the plains, watching over the herds. They move with a ponderous, rolling gait, their immense size allowing them to browse on the highest, most inaccessible leaves and branches, reaching into the canopy, acting as living towers that reshape the canopy and create clearings, constantly pruning the vegetation with their powerful jaws. Their presence adds an almost fantastical element to the landscape, a creature that seems to belong more to a mythical past than to a scientific reality. A testament to the diverse paths evolution explored in its grand experiment. A truly unique form of life that once roamed these lands. Beyond these magnificent herbivores, the predators are a constant, lurking presence. A stark and brutal reminder of the unforgiving realities of the food web, the relentless cycle of life and death, where every meal is paid for with a life, where survival is a zero-sum game, a constant, deadly dance. You see the sleek, powerful forms of saber-toothed cats, like Homotherium or Machairodus, slinking silently through the tall grass. Their distinctive, elongated, knife-like fangs, often several inches long, gleaming menacingly, a terrifying sight even from a distance, designed for precise, deadly strikes that sever vital arteries and crush windpipes with horrifying efficiency. Their movements are fluid, silent, every muscle coiled for the kill, an embodiment of lethal efficiency, a ghostly whisper across the plains, almost invisible until the last moment, when they burst forth in a terrifying charge. The chilling, guttural cackle of giant hyenas, like Pachyrhikuta, echoes across the plains, often signaling a recent kill or a relentless pack on the hunt. Their powerful jaws capable of crushing bone with ease, their collective intelligence making them formidable, relentless hunters and scavengers, leaving little behind for others, their numbers overwhelming in a coordinated attack. You might spot the sinuous form of an early leopard or lion camouflaged perfectly against the rocks or in the dappled light of the thickets, their spots or tawny coats blending perfectly with the environment, or the ancient, scaly bulk of a crocodile submerged in a murky river, only its eyes, nostrils breaking the surface. A silent, patient, deadly hunter waiting for an unwary thirst to drive prey to its jaws. A sudden explosive strike from the depths. Birds of prey, immense eagles and vultures, circle high above, their keen eyes scanning the landscape for any sign of weakness or death. Their shadows moving silently across the ground, completing the circle of life and death. The ultimate scavengers anticipating the feast, cleaning the bones and returning nutrients to the earth. The entire ecosystem is a finely balanced, brutal dance of survival. A complex, intricate web of interdependencies where every creature, from the smallest insect to the largest gompho there, from the most elusive gazelle to the most powerful saber-tooth, plays its predetermined role in the grand, ancient drama. The grasses feed the herbivores feed the carnivores, and the scavengers clean up the remains, returning vital nutrients to the earth, ensuring the cycle continues. An endless flow of energy and matter, a perfect, self-sustaining machine, a testament to nature's efficiency. It is a world of constant consumption and regeneration, a cycle that has spun for millions of years, utterly indifferent to the individual struggles of its inhabitants, valuing only the continuation of life itself, the perpetuation of the species, the relentless march of evolution. There is a raw, unadulterated beauty in this efficiency, a profound sense of natural order that transcends human understanding, a testament to the power of evolution, its relentless, unyielding artistry, its brutal elegance, its timeless wisdom. As the day begins to wane and the sun starts its inevitable majestic descent, sinking lower towards the western horizon, painting the sky with deepening hues, the most breathtaking spectacle of the Pliocene unfolds. The sunset. The sky, which was once a brilliant, unblemished cerulean, begins to transform, bleeding into hues of soft orange, then fiery red, then deep violet, then finally into a deep, bruised purple, a magnificent, fleeting display of celestial artistry that paints the entire world in dramatic, shifting colors. The sun, a vast, molten disk, descends slowly towards the western horizon, painting the clouds in impossible shades of gold and crimson, reflecting off the scattered water sources like liquid fire, turning them into shimmering mirrors of light, reflecting the dying day's glory. The golden light spreads across the plains, washing over the tall grasses and the distant forests, making them glow with an ethereal, almost magical intensity, as if the very land is breathing fire, exhaling light and warmth before the cold of night. Long, exaggerated shadows stretch out from every tree, every rock, every grazing animal, elongating and distorting the landscape, transforming familiar shapes into monstrous, fleeting forms, creating a sense of deepening mystery and growing apprehension as the light fades and the world prepares for darkness, for the reign of unseen hunters. The air, which was hot and still and heavy with the day's heat, begins to cool rapidly, and a gentle breeze whispers across the land, carrying new scents and sounds, a subtle shift in the atmosphere that signals the coming of night, a profound change in the world's rhythm. As the last sliver of the sun finally dips below the horizon, a profound silence descends upon the savannah. A brief, hushed moment of transition, a collective holding of breath by the entire ecosystem, a pause before the next act of the eternal drama. It is not an empty silence, but a pregnant one, filled with anticipation, a cosmic pause before the night shift begins, before the nocturnal world awakens and asserts its dominion. Then, slowly, tentatively, the sounds of the night begin to emerge. Like the first notes of a grand, ancient symphony, each sound more distinct in the growing quiet. The rhythmic chirping of crickets grows louder, a constant, pervasive pulse in the deepening dusk, a chorus of countless tiny lives that seems to amplify the silence, filling it with a low hum, a living background noise. The buzzing of nocturnal insects fills the air, a high-pitched drone that seems to vibrate in your very bones, a constant, irritating presence that reminds you of the teeming life around you, unseen but ever present. And then, from the distant shadows, the silence is broken by distant roars, the deep, resonant growl of a big cat, a sound of immense power and hunger, the eerie, bone-chilling cackle of a hyena pack, a sound of wild triumph or grim hunger echoing across the plains, carrying on the cool night air, signaling their awakening, their readiness to hunt, their calls a terrifying symphony. These are the sounds of the nocturnal hunters asserting their dominion over the darkness, their calls echoing with primal hunger and warning, a terrifying symphony of survival that pervades the night. It is a soundscape that is both terrifying and mesmerizing, a lullaby of survival, a constant reminder of the unseen dangers that now rule the land, that move in the shadows, that stalk the night. The vast, star-strewn sky begins to reveal itself, a glittering, diamond-studded canopy, stretching from horizon to horizon, and you realize that this golden light, this profound silence, this symphony of the wild, is a daily ritual that has unfolded for millions of years, a timeless spectacle that connects you to the very dawn of life on Earth. There is a strange, profound peace in witnessing this. Even amidst the underlying current of danger, a deep, ancient beauty that resonates within your very soul, a sense of belonging to something far larger and older than yourself, a connection to the cosmic dance of existence. As the last vestiges of the sun's fiery embrace finally fade from the western horizon, swallowed by the curvature of the ancient Earth, leaving behind only a faint, bruised, purple smear, a profound and absolute transformation sweeps across the landscape, altering every sensory perception and instilling a deep, primal fear. The vibrant hues of sunset rapidly give way to an encroaching, all-consuming, oppressive darkness. This is not the softened, diluted darkness of your modern world, where distant city lights, the pervasive hum and glow of street lamps, or the ever-present luminescence of electronic screens always provide some measure of ambient illumination, a comforting filter against true blackness, a constant reassurance of human presence and control. No, this is a primal, all-encompassing blackness, a velvety shroud that swallows the land whole, obliterating all familiar shapes and contours, rendering the world an indistinguishable void, a terrifying blankness that feels infinite. There are no human-made light sources whatsoever, no flickering campfires to cast dancing shadows and ward off beasts, no distant villages twinkling on the horizon, no artificial glow to break the oppressive gloom, nothing to pierce the impenetrable veil of night, not even the smallest spark, just an absolute void. It is a darkness so profound that it feels almost tangible, pressing in on all sides, disorienting your senses, rendering your eyesight utterly useless, a terrifying form of blindness that leaves you utterly helpless, vulnerable to anything lurking within it. Your eyes, accustomed to even the faintest ambient light, strain desperately to perceive anything, to discern even the barest outline, but the world has dissolved into an indistinguishable void, a terrifying blank canvas of unseen threats and imagined horrors, where every rustle becomes a monster, every shadow a lurking danger. The very air seems to grow heavier, denser with the absence of light, thick with unseen presences, a palpable weight of the unknown. In this overwhelming, sensory-depriving blackness, your other senses become acutely, almost painfully, heightened, straining to compensate for the absolute loss of sight. The air grows steadily cooler, the residual warmth of the day rapidly dissipating into the vast expanse, replaced by a pervasive, biting chill that seeps into your exposed skin and ultimately into your bones, causing shivers that rack your massive frame, a deep, persistent cold that gnaws at your core, threatening hypothermia. The primary source of illumination now, and the only one available, is the celestial tapestry above. As your eyes, slowly and painstakingly, adjust to the abyssal gloom, to the utter blackness, the true, breathtaking magnificence of the Pliocene sky reveals itself in all its unblemished glory, unpolluted by artificial light, by the light domes of sprawling cities, by the haze of industrial output. The stars blaze with an intensity you have never witnessed, an incandescent fire that seems to almost hum with ancient energy, each one a tiny, perfect beacon in the infinite dark. Millions upon millions of pinpricks of light pierce the blackness, forming constellations that are both familiar in their patterns, yet utterly alien in their stark clarity. Appearing so close you feel you could almost reach out and touch them, their light traveling for eons to reach your eyes. A profound connection to cosmic time. The Milky Way stretches across the zenith like a vast, luminous river of cosmic dust and gas, its ethereal glow casting a faint, almost imperceptible luminescence upon the land below, enough to outline the silhouettes of distant trees, turning them into ghostly sentinels against the cosmic backdrop, a shimmering band of light. You can discern individual nebulae, faint star clusters, and distant galaxies, vast cosmic islands, a breathtaking spectacle that emphasizes the sheer cosmic vastness and your own minuscule, fragile place within it, fostering a profound sense of awe and humility, a connection to something infinitely larger than yourself. The moon, if it is present and in a favorable phase, a slim crescent, a half orb, or a full luminous disk, casts long, stark shadows, transforming the familiar landscape into a haunting, monochrome dreamscape, where every rock and tree takes on an eerie, distorted form, and the savanna stretches out like a silvered, rippling blanket, an alien world under a familiar sky, a world of shadows and whispers. Without the distraction of artificial light, the universe above feels closer, more immediate, a silent, ancient presence that hums with unimaginable power and distance, a profound connection to the cosmos, a reminder of timelessness and eternity. The sounds of the night become the dominant sensory input, each one magnified, each one carrying vital, life or death information in this pitch-black world, a symphony of primal existence that demands constant interpretation and vigilance. The rhythmic chirping of crickets forms a constant, almost hypnotic backdrop, a living pulse in the deepening dusk, a chorus of countless tiny lives that seems to amplify the silence, filling it with a low hum that can be both maddening and strangely comforting in its consistency. The persistent buzzing of nocturnal insects, unseen but ever present, fills the air, a high-pitched drone that seems to vibrate in your very bones, a constant, irritating presence that reminds you of the teeming life around you, unseen but ever present. And then, from the distant shadows, the night truly comes alive with the urgent primal calls of its hunters and its hunted. The chilling, mournful cry of a hyena pack, a sound of eerie, unsettling laughter that seems to mock your very existence, echoes across the plains, often signaling a recent kill or a relentless pack on the hunt, sending shivers down your spine and causing the hair on your arms to prickle. A visceral response to danger, a sound of pure terror. The deep, resonant roar of a big cat, perhaps a saber-tooth or an early lion, reverberates through the air, cutting through all other sounds, carrying on the cool night wind. A sound of immense power and unchallenged dominance. A terrifying declaration of presence that makes your heart pound and your breath catch. You hear the soft, distinctive hoot of an owl, a swift, silent hunter. The subtle flutter of bat wings as they dart through the darkness chasing insects. The scuttling of small rodents and reptiles through the dry grasses. Their movements amplified in the silence. Every rustle a potential threat. Every sound a clue. Every sound is a potential clue. A fragment of information that demands immediate interpretation. Is it a direct threat, a harmless animal, or a distant indicator of something to be avoided? A warning to move elsewhere, to seek deeper cover, to freeze in place. Your sense of hearing becomes your primary defense, your early warning system against the unseen dangers that lurk in the profound darkness. A constant, exhausting vigil that never truly ceases, even when your body screams for rest and your mind longs for peace. The air itself seems to vibrate with the collective sounds of the nocturnal world, a living, breathing entity of sound, a constant, terrifying symphony. In this environment, the feeling of vulnerability is absolute, overwhelming, almost suffocating. A constant, gnawing fear that permeates every cell of your being. Without the protection of fire, that ancient guardian against darkness and cold, that symbol of human ingenuity. Without the ability to see beyond mere silhouettes or the faint gleam of starlight, your ancestors are at their most exposed, their senses strained to their breaking point, their very existence hanging by a thread, utterly at the mercy of the night. The fear of unseen threats, of a predator silently approaching under the absolute cover of darkness, is a palpable, suffocating presence. A cold, persistent knot in the pit of your stomach that never loosens. A constant companion that whispers warnings. Every shadow seems to hold a monster. Every rustle a lurking danger. Every unfamiliar sound a harbinger of doom, triggering an immediate primal fear response that floods your body with adrenaline. This profound vulnerability forces a primal, inescapable response. They huddle together for warmth and safety, a primal instinct stronger than any conscious thought, a desperate need for contact and reassurance. You observe them, a small, tightly packed cluster of bodies, seeking solace and protection in close proximity, a living, breathing mound of shared vulnerability and shared hope, a fragile bastion against the vastness and the cold. The shared body heat is crucial against the biting cold of the night. A simple yet effective mechanism for survival. A collective warmth that battles the encroaching chill, keeping hypothermia at bay. A precious resource in the face of the elements. The communal sense of protection, the profound knowledge that they are not alone, that they have each other, provides a vital psychological shield against the pervasive fear, a fragile but essential comfort in the vast, hostile dark, a shared burden that makes it bearable, a testament to their nascent social bonds. They are a single, breathing entity, their senses collectively straining against the darkness, their movements minimal to conserve energy and avoid attracting attention, every muscle tense, every nerve alert. Their eyes, though largely useless in the blackness, still scan the void, searching for something, anything. Their ears straining for the faintest sound, their noses testing the air for any telltale scent of danger, a primal, exhausting vigilance that persists even in moments of rest, never truly allowing for deep relaxation, for true peace. Even in sleep, their rest is fitful, punctuated by sudden starts and shifts, a testament to the constant alertness required for survival, their bodies never truly relaxing, always on edge, always ready to flee. The young are nestled in the very center of the group, protected by the bodies of the adults, their small forms radiating warmth and vulnerability, a precious cargo to be guarded at all costs, the future of the lineage, the very reason for their struggle. Perhaps, in this deep, primal sleep, their dreams are vivid and instinct-driven, unburdened by the complexities of modern thought, raw and unfiltered. They are filled with the day's struggles, the thrilling, desperate chase of prey, the heart-pounding, terrifying escape from a formidable predator, the profound relief and satisfaction of discovering a bountiful food source, the deep, satisfying thirst quenched at a hidden waterhole. They are dreams of survival, of the raw, unadulterated reality of their existence, replaying the day's successes and failures, reinforcing lessons learned, preparing them for the next day's challenges. The long, arduous night passes slowly, an eternity of darkness and heightened senses, each minute stretching into what feels like an hour, a test of endurance in stillness, until the first faint hint of gray appears on the eastern horizon, promising the return of the sun and the temporary blessed reprieve of daylight. The blackness gradually softens, becoming a deep indigo, then purple, then the faintest blush of pink and orange bleeding into the sky. A slow, beautiful transition from terror to hope. The first calls of the diurnal birds begin, tentatively at first, then growing into a vibrant chorus that signals the retreat of the night's most terrifying hunters. A hopeful sound that heralds the dawn, a promise of light and warmth, of another chance. A new day begins, and with it, the renewed struggle for survival. A cycle that has repeated for millions of years, etching itself into the very essence of what it means to be human. A testament to their enduring spirit, their unbreakable will to live, their slow, relentless march towards the future. As the new sun ascends, casting its benevolent light across the plains, painting the vast landscape in warm, hopeful hues, you observe a subtle, almost imperceptible shift in the behavior of your ancestral group. Beyond the raw imperatives of survival, the endless quest for sustenance, the constant vigilance against predators, the huddling against the cold of night, you begin to perceive the nascent spark of something more, something profoundly significant that differentiates these hominins from the pure instinct-driven animals around them. It is the very first glimmer of conscious thought, of rudimentary problem-solving, of a burgeoning intellect that seeks not just to survive, but to understand, to improve, to adapt in ways that transcend mere biological conditioning. A flicker of something truly human, a whisper of a future yet to unfold. You witness instances of early tool use, incredibly simple yet profoundly impactful, marking a pivotal moment in their evolution. A tiny step that would lead to monumental changes. An Australopithecus female, with a young clinging instinctively to her back, struggles to extract a tough, fibrous tuber from the hardened earth. Her fingers raw and bleeding from the effort, her frustration palpable. Instead of merely scratching futilely with her bare hands, she picks up a discarded, unmodified stone, not shaped or crafted by design, but simply chosen for its convenient size, weight, and blunt edge, a natural hammer. With a deliberate, repeated motion, she uses it to break the compacted soil, striking the ground with surprising force, loosening the earth around the tuber, making the extraction easier and less damaging to her hands, a clear act of intentionality. It is a simple act, yet revolutionary. The externalization of effort, the application of an object to modify the environment, a fundamental shift in their interaction with the world. moving from passive adaptation to active manipulation. Later, a young male, observing a distant cluster of ripe fruit high in a tree just out of reach, grasps a fallen branch. It's not a spear, not even a properly shaped club, but a natural extension of his arm, used to knock down the fruit that would otherwise be inaccessible. A simple lever, a basic understanding of physics. These are not manufactured tools in your sense, not products of deliberate design or complex engineering, but found objects, intuitively pressed into service. A profound cognitive leap that hints at future innovation, at the capacity for abstract thought. They are learning to leverage their environment, not just react to it, but to actively manipulate it, however minimally, to achieve a desired outcome. This suggests a capacity for basic planning, a rudimentary understanding of cause and effect, an ability to foresee a need, the fruit is too high, and select an appropriate object, the branch, to meet it. A simple mental model of the world that allows for foresight. This is where the path to Homo habilis, the handyman, truly begins. In these humble daily improvisations, these small, intelligent solutions to immediate problems, the first sparks of a technological revolution. You see the glimmer of intentionality, a step beyond mere instinct, a conscious decision to alter their surroundings. Their observational learning is extraordinarily acute, a constant, focused absorption of information from their surroundings, a continuous process of data collection and analysis. You see them watching other animals with an intensity that goes beyond simple predator-prey identification. They observe a group of baboons cracking nuts with stones, and later, one of your ancestors might attempt to replicate the action, perhaps clumsily at first, dropping the stone or missing the target, but with an unmistakable intent to mimic and learn, a desire to master the technique, to acquire a new skill. They study the movements of large herbivores, not just for potential hunting opportunities, but to locate reliable water sources or areas of rich grazing, understanding that where there is prey, there are resources. They learn the migration patterns of certain birds, instinctively understanding the abundance of certain fruits when those birds appear, using them as living indicators of seasonal bounty, a natural calendar. They are naturalists of the highest order, absorbing every nuance of their environment, constantly updating their internal map of resources and dangers, a living, breathing encyclopedia of their world, accumulated through direct experience. This deep, continuous engagement with their surroundings fuels a rudimentary form of memory and foresight. They remember which trees bore fruit in which season, where water was reliable during a prolonged drought, where specific predators tended to ambush, and which shelters offered the best protection against the elements. This stored knowledge, passed down through rudimentary nonverbal communication, imitation, and shared experience, begins to build a collective wisdom, a shared understanding of their world that goes beyond individual experience, becoming a cultural inheritance, a nascent form of tradition. They anticipate seasonal changes, adapting their movements and foraging strategies accordingly, a subtle but critical step beyond pure, immediate reactivity, demonstrating a basic grasp of temporal cycles and the ability to plan for the future. The psychological development is slow, almost imperceptible over short periods, but undeniably present, hinting at the complex emotional and social landscape of future humans. Their social dynamics begin to hint at more complexity than mere hierarchical dominance or simple survival huddles. You witness moments of what appears to be nascent empathy. A group member, perhaps an older female, sharing a rare find of a juicy fruit or a piece of scavenged meat with an injured or elderly individual, not just out of compulsion or a strict tit-for-tat exchange, but perhaps a primitive recognition of vulnerability, a nascent understanding of another's suffering, a flicker of compassion. There are instances of rudimentary teaching of the young, a mother patiently demonstrating how to dig for roots, guiding her child's small, fumbling hands, or an older male showing a juvenile how to identify a specific edible plant, conveying knowledge beyond genetic instinct, a deliberate act of instruction and mentorship. These are not lessons in a classroom, but direct, hands-on demonstrations, imitation, and reinforcement. Learning by doing and observing, a practical education. The bonds within the group, while primarily driven by survival, are beginning to acquire layers of attachment and loyalty. A sense of belonging that provides psychological comfort beyond mere physical safety. A feeling of being part of something larger than oneself, a nascent community. The communal vigilance creates a shared emotional landscape of fear and reassurance, a collective experience of dread and relief, binding them together through shared struggle. You see them mourning the loss of a group member, a silent, somber gathering, perhaps not understanding death in an abstract sense, but feeling the profound absence, the break in the social fabric, a primitive form of grief. As you, the modern Homo sapiens, observe these intricate interactions, these subtle shifts in behavior, you feel a strange, profound resonance. You recognize the flicker of intelligence in their eyes, the rudimentary problem-solving in their actions, the nascent social bonds that mirror your own complex relationships. There is a powerful, humbling sense of your own origins, the long, arduous journey of your species stretching back through these very beings, through their struggles and their small triumphs, their daily acts of courage. You see the deep wellspring of human ingenuity and resilience in their struggle, the very first stirrings of the cognitive abilities that would one day allow you to build cities, harness fire, understand the cosmos, explore the very nature of existence, and create art and philosophy. The vast chasm of time seems to narrow, and you feel a profound, almost spiritual connection to these struggling, enduring ancestors. A sense of shared humanity across millions of years, an unbroken chain of life. Their world, once so alien, now feels intimately familiar in its basic demands. And you sense the very first glimmers of self-awareness beyond mere survival. A growing curiosity about the world around them. A burgeoning capacity for abstract thought. A spark that would eventually ignite the vast, roaring flame of human consciousness, leading to art, philosophy, science, and all the wonders of your time. It's a deep, quiet awakening, both within them as they slowly evolve, and within your own understanding of humanity's long, slow dawn, a profound realization of your own history. The wind whispers across the plains, carrying not just the scent of earth and animals, but the subtle, almost inaudible hum of nascent thought, of a species taking its very first faltering steps towards a future it cannot yet comprehend. A future that is your present, a testament to their enduring legacy. As the new sun ascends, casting its benevolent light across the plains, painting the vast landscape in warm, hopeful hues, slowly chasing away the last vestiges of the terrifying night. A sense of quiet, profound reflection settles upon you, a deep understanding that transcends time, a connection to the very origins of your being. You have not just witnessed, but experienced, through the very eyes and senses of your earliest ancestors, a world of breathtaking, untamed beauty, yet also one of brutal, unyielding indifference. The vividness of the experience, the raw sensory input, the constant thrum of danger, the gnawing hunger, the bone-chilling cold, the ever-present threat of disease and injury, underscores, with chilling clarity, how fragile life was, then compared to now. Every single sunrise was not just a new day, but a hard-won victory against overwhelming odds, a precious gift of continued existence, a testament to raw endurance and an unbreakable will. Every meager meal consumed was a triumph against gnawing hunger, a fleeting satisfaction before the next desperate search began, a constant battle for calories. Every terrifying night survived was a testament to raw, fundamental resilience and the sheer, unyielding will to persist against the unseen, the unknown, the lurking dangers of the dark. There were no safety nets, no social welfare, no guarantees of tomorrow, no comforting certainties, only the stark reality of the present moment, demanding constant adaptation, constant vigilance, constant effort, a life lived on the knife edge of survival. The comforts you take for granted, warm, secure shelter, readily available, processed food, immediate medical care, instant communication, the luxury of leisure, the ability to simply exist without immediate threat, were utterly unimaginable luxuries, concepts too advanced for this primal existence, almost fantastical in their absence. The constant, pervasive threat of starvation, dehydration, exposure to the elements, and violent predation loomed large over every waking moment, making the average lifespan shockingly short and childhood mortality tragically, brutally high, with many infants not surviving their first year, victims of disease, predators, or the harsh, unforgiving environment, a constant sorrow. The physical demands of this existence were relentless, pushing their bodies to their absolute limits, forging them into lean, efficient machines, and the mental strain of constant vigilance, of perpetual fear, was an exhausting, unending burden that never truly lifted, even in the brief moments of rest, leaving them perpetually on edge. It was a precarious, day-to-day existence, a constant, desperate struggle for every single breath, a stark contrast to the relative security, predictability, and longevity afforded by your complex modern world. Yet, it was precisely these early struggles that paved the way for humanity, that forged the very essence of what you are today, the very foundation of your species, the crucible of your being. This relentless pressure, this constant demand for survival against overwhelming odds, forged and refined the very traits that define you as a Homo sapiens, making you uniquely capable, uniquely human, uniquely adaptable. The inherent, undeniable need for collective defense against formidable predators fostered deep-seated cooperation and intricate social bonding, teaching them the invaluable primal lesson that survival lay not in individual strength alone, but in unity, in mutual reliance, in the power of the group, a fundamental social contract. The constant, arduous search for food and water honed their nascent intelligence and rudimentary problem-solving skills, compelling them to observe their environment with acute precision, to remember locations and patterns, to anticipate challenges, laying the profound foundation for ingenuity and innovation, for the very act of thinking ahead, of planning, of abstract thought. This relentless cognitive demand, this constant pressure to adapt and learn, would eventually lead to the development of sophisticated tools and more cunning, coordinated hunting strategies that transcended mere brute strength, allowing them to outwit far more powerful creatures, to become the dominant species on the planet. The absolute necessity of communication, however basic and nonverbal at first, laid the groundwork for the complex, nuanced language that now allows you to share intricate knowledge, plan elaborate strategies, articulate abstract thoughts, build civilizations, and transmit culture across generations, creating a shared human experience, a collective consciousness. The ability to walk upright, to free the hands from locomotion was a revolutionary anatomical adaptation that allowed for efficient long-distance travel, for carrying precious resources like food and infants, for foraging more effectively, and eventually, for the transformative act of crafting and manipulating the environment to their advantage, shaping the world around them, not just living within it. Every challenge overcome, every adaptation made, every small victory against the crushing indifference of nature was a tiny, incremental, yet profound step on the long, arduous journey from early hominin to modern human. A slow, continuous ascent through the ages. Their struggles, their triumphs, their fears, their moments of raw joy, their very existence, are woven into the genetic and cultural fabric of your being, a deep, ancestral legacy that echoes through the ages, a silent story within your DNA, a part of who you are, inextricably linked. You are not just a descendant. You are a living, breathing product of their relentless will to survive, a testament to the power of adaptation, persistence, and ingenuity in the face of overwhelming odds. Their journey is your history, etched into the very core of your humanity. A profound and undeniable connection that spans millions of years. So now, as the ancient sun completes its majestic ascent, casting its first warm, life-giving rays over the awakening savanna, slowly dispelling the last vestiges of the terrifying night and inviting the day's renewed efforts, invite yourself to relax. Let your thoughts drift gently, effortlessly, like the morning mist rising from the vast plains, carried away by the nascent breeze, dissolving into the endless sky, becoming one with the ancient air. Feel the profound echoes of this ancient world within you. Imagine the endless horizons, unbroken and pure, stretching into eternity, a symbol of boundless possibility. Hear the gentle rustling grasses, a ceaseless whisper of life that has sounded for millions of years, a timeless lullaby. Listen to the calls of strange, ancient birds, a chorus that has sung since the dawn of time, a melody of primal existence. Sense the quiet strength and unwavering vigilance of your ancestors, huddled together in the dawn, their eyes fixed on the promise of the new day, their spirits unbroken, their hope renewed. Feel the cool, raw earth beneath you, grounding you to this primeval moment, connecting you to the very bedrock of life, to the planet itself, and the pure, untainted air filling your lungs, invigorating your being, cleansing your spirit, filling you with ancient energy and peace. Allow these ancient images, these profound sensations, to soothe your mind, to calm your spirit, drawing you deeper into a state of profound tranquility, a deep, restorative peace that transcends the chaos of modern life. A quiet understanding. Drift off, imagining the raw, untamed beauty of the ancient earth, a world where life was hard-won, often brutal, but profoundly real and vibrant. A world of pure, unadulterated existence, and where the first, tentative yet monumental steps of humankind echoed across the vast, silent plains, leading inexorably, miraculously, to you. Let the sounds and sensations of the Pliocene lull you into a deep, peaceful slumber, a timeless journey back to the very roots of your existence, a profound, unbroken connection to the dawn of humanity, a sleep of ages, a return to the source.